the show, okay? All right. Hi, and we're live. This is Melinda Kunst. I am from Hope When There Was None, and I am joined by my beautiful guest here, May Alirad. Ali,
Yes,
I practiced
you
so
did
hard.
practice it all, Dennis. You really did
I'm
try really.
sorry.
Yes, yes, Alirad.
I'm sorry. Alirad. Okay. Yay. Well, thank you, first of all. And I don't mean to giggle because this is a very tough and deep subject and horrifying to a degree. But we're talking about your story of survival and healing. Now, April is Sexual Awareness and Prevention Month, and what timing that you have for this story. And just to bring everything, it takes great courage. And I wanted to say that thank you for coming on, but also thank you for your bravery and your courage for sharing your story. It's not many that do that in such a truthful and honest. I hope I'm not going to cry. I promise, but I got tissue just in case. But honest and just so truthful. You didn't sugarcoat anything. You share the a little bit about you could tell there's some brutality in that, but also without being too graphic. And that your faith, girl, your faith was just so powerful for you too. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna shush and let you take over. So tell me about your story. How did you come up with or deciding, making that decision to go ahead? I'm gonna write this, or even the realization that you needed to get this out there.
Yeah, so Melinda, it started 10 years ago. It started 10 years ago when I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write about my experiences, different things that I've gone through. But every time I sat in front of the computer to type, I just couldn't. I physically could not. What is wrong with me? Like, why can't I do it? And so what happened was on September 13th, and I share this story. So everything that I'm saying now, it's all in the book, but you're hearing it from me out of my mouth, I guess. But on September 13th, what happened was one of my friends and I, we were praying, and it was as if she prayed me out of that guilt, shame, fear, condemnation, everything that was associated with my sexual trauma had just lifted off of me. And it was a miracle. I believe in miracles, and that what happened was definitely a miracle. So for those that haven't read my story or don't know about me, my first sexual trauma was at the age of 7 in first grade. And that was when a little boy on a bus put his hand down my pants. And then from there, I began sexually assaulting other children. And that's something that I am not proud of. And I definitely did not want to put that in the book, but I just felt led to put it in there just to not sugarcoat anything, just like you said, Melinda. And this is just the real of it, right? Because nothing about sexual violence is pretty. Not one thing about it. All of it is ugly. And I wanted to put it in there, especially to be able to connect to my readers, to say, hey, I get it. Like, you think you did that. Look, I'm going to tell you all of the bad things I've done. So really being able to connect with my reader was really important to me. So
And
then,
I love that. I really did. I love that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was like, wow. I had to read through that part twice because, like, did she just say that? Wow. And that was so powerful. And you're right. Not too many people would actually admit to that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I want to let everyone know, when I started writing my book, I did not want it to be a tell-all. And if you've read it, you're like, oh, okay, May just literally told it all. I didn't want the book to be a tell-all, but every time I wanted to leave things out, I always felt led to add this part, add that part. And even until the very last of the last of a couple days before my book was published, I was still adding things. I was still adding things into it. And I was like, I already sent it to the editor 10 times. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. She'll be okay. Julie, shout out to Julie, my editor in Spain. She's amazing. And so from 6, 7, first grade, all the way to 32, I had a history of on and off being sexually assaulted or sexually assaulting other children. And So it took me 30 years.
Oh, just one thing, just to say that, clarify that when you were older, you weren't like molesting children. Just to say
Yes,
that that sounds a
yes,
little,
yes. Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. Thank you,
that's,
Melinda, for
yeah.
clarifying. When I was a child, I was assaulting other children. So what
Right.
was done to me, then I began doing it to other people. Right. So as an adult, no, no. As an adult, I was sexually assaulted repetitively for many years of my life, with different people. So that's all in it. I kind of had like a couple paragraphs of my whole history of 25, 30 years. And then it took me 30 years to get to my September 13th event, where I finally reached this point that I call my self-actualization journey of healing. And I think I had been, ever since I started therapy at 32, I think I had started on the journey, but never reaching self actualization. And for me, self actualization is actually a place where you are healed from the shame, the guilt, all of that having related to your sexual trauma, and getting to a place where there is no more shame. Like, nobody can shame me about what happened anymore. I'm like, yeah, those things happened. And it's like, that's my story. Okay. And it's just, I think the reason why I have such a nonchalant attitude about that now, like, and I don't care what anyone thinks about me in regards to my sexual trauma, because I didn't put myself in this situation, right?
Right.
It
Right.
was something that was done to me, then I did it to other people, then it came back around, then I was sexually assaulted, several times as an adult. So I'm like, yeah, I lived that life, and I put very, you know, there's, okay, so there's one word in the whole 136 page that I'm like, should I put this? Should I put this? I was like, no, I'm going to put this, because I didn't say to myself, your vagina means nothing, right? I
I know what you're.
means
Yes.
nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I less of a Christian for putting that? I was like, you know
Mm-mm.
what? I got to be real,
Yes.
because that's what I said to myself. And so I was like, you know what? 136 pages. If you get stuck on that one word that's a P, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. Then you haven't gotten anything that I wrote. But it was really, I wanted to just be real. I wanted to be so real to everyone. But Melinda, I'm not sure if even I answer your question. I like to go off on tangents.
No, and I love that about you. That's fine because you're like my soul sister. No, you did. You did it, and you did it with such transparency and beauty. Thank you for that. And you're right. People can't get the gist of your story unless you're being honest with it. And you were spirit led. That's why you kept adding different things.
Yeah.
Really, you just get that spirit once God works on you to start sharing, and just to take that veil off and let it all out, girl. It's just an amazing thing. And I can totally relate to not feeling that shame now when someone asks me about my own trauma story. It's like, oh yeah, well that happened. And it's like I'm just at the store picking up groceries. And for them it's a little bit different. So I'm sure you had that reaction with other people where you just share it and they're like their mouths open, but yet you're just like, okay, let's go to the park now. And that situation was so normal for you when you were growing up. All that behavior became normalized to you. So I know
Yeah.
there might be someone out there watching right now, like, how could she do that? And I'm sure you had that inner bully yourself later on, but they don't understand that became normal behavior for you. So it just happens.
Yeah. And Melinda, I just want to add also that after going to therapy for 2 years, in my book, I actually apologize to all the girls that I ever hurt. I apologize to them in my book. And even when I was reading it on the radio, I was on the radio the other day. And as I was reading it, I started crying. And this was like yesterday or the day before. I started crying as I was reading that letter, because although I'm at a place of healing, like, I'm still a human
Mhm.
being, and I
Right.
still feel like, wow, I did this terrible thing to other people. And after going to therapy, like, I've come to make peace with, I was 6 years old. Okay, so whoever is out there judging me or anyone else that was in a sexual trauma, that was molested or anything as a child, and then they in turn did it to other people, I was in first grade. Imagine your child, if you have a child in first grade, and telling them they're a predator. No, I don't do that. I work with children. I'm a school social worker. I guess that's the other aspect of it. I'm an author, but I'm also a school social worker. And so it's really this understanding of, I didn't tell anyone that happened. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone at school. And my therapist said it was my way, or children's way, of trying to understand what was done to them by acting it out, by like role playing. It was my way, all the children out there's way of trying to understand that. And that is where they're at that developmental stage, at 6, 7, 8. I mean, like, you're trying to understand what happened to you. And definitely younger. So, yeah, so I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything about what anyone thinks or says or anything. And I want to say this one thing. If you've never been sexually assaulted before, then it's going to be really difficult for you to understand a survivor, a victim. You're going to have a very difficult time understanding, because being sexually assaulted is like an onion. It has layers and layers. You feel like okay, I'm done with that layer. There's another layer. There's another layer. And so I say this, I was on another podcast, and he's like, May, I just can't understand why you would go back with someone that raped you. I was like, well, first of all, I didn't even know that's what happened. Right. Because that's not what I classified rape as, right?
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. And I'm going to ask you, I asked you if you would read one of many of my, I don't want to say favorite, but one part of your book that really kind of rocked me in my heels. So if I may trouble you to go ahead and do that right now.
Yes. Okay. After I was finished telling my friend, he was stuck on the part about me running to the bathroom and crying. I was trying to convince him that the sexual encounters were consensual after that, so it was okay. It wasn't until I heard these words, May, you were raped. Do you know that? And the thought of being a victim of sexual assault crossed my mind. Although my friend was saying textbook wise sounded correct, I never saw myself as a victim before. Then I said, well, he didn't hit me, beat me, or hold me down, so it could not have been rape. Yeah, my feelings were hurt, but physical abuse did not accompany it. So my justification was that rape could only happen when someone you didn't know behind a garbage can and accompanied with physical assault. What happened to me was in an expensive hotel room with my boyfriend, and he didn't hit me. So in my mind, it simply could not have been rape. In addition, I didn't want to compare my situation with someone who had it a lot worse than me. Those individuals suffered post-traumatic stress disorder and flashbacks. I never had that. Therefore, saying or admitting that I was a rape victim would be unfair to other women who had it worse. It also seemed unfair to my boyfriend, who I cared about a lot, and unfair to myself because I am not a victim.
Wow, girl. I got tears. You do. Oh my gosh, that was very powerful. That really was. I mean, even hearing you say those words, wow. But I get that. And I was sharing with you that through reading your book, I actually touched on my own things from my own past, my childhood as well, that it kind of bubbled to the surface, and I didn't even realize that they were there or long forgotten them. But I know I experienced sexual assault with my own marriage, not now with Mr. Awesome, but my previous marriage with my ex. But it's hard to make that actualization that, okay, I'm being raped right now. I'm saying no, or I don't want to do this. So having that, especially if it's a loved one, I agree. It's hard to fathom that, okay, but he loves me. I'm not being beaten right now. And just the raw power of that when you're saying those words, it's wow. It really is. It's that's all I can say. It's really all I can say. So how did you start your healing process from this?
Yeah, so then from the moment of September 13th, I remember just saying to God, yes, God, whatever platform, in whatever way, the freedom that I feel right now, I want every single person in the world to be able to experience this. So then I started thinking, okay, I need to start a business. I need to do something. And I couldn't figure out, like, okay, what should I do? So then on February 2nd, I felt led by the Lord to start writing a book. And I had, like I was telling you all, trying to do it for the past 10 years. But because I was in such a place of healing, I finished my first draft in 3 weeks. Yeah, this book that I was trying to write for 10 years. Yeah, so my first draft was finished in 3 weeks. And then after that, it was back and forth with the editor and mostly on my part because I just really thank God because God just really opened the door. And when people ask me, I'm like, yeah, God is my PR. Okay. I don't know what else. I'm like, yeah, God is my PR. He's bringing people in my life, directing me, telling me what to do, go on this page, that page, put this. And when I was writing the book, it was like every day I was writing, I would be like, okay, God, what do you want me to write to your people? And sometimes like people are reading to me what I wrote or, like you, Melinda, like that was so powerful. I was like, wow, I don't even remember writing that. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. Like, I didn't know it had that much of an impact.
Yes.
So it was a lot of like downloading, I think, from God, to me and like just onto the paper. And so this was February. So by March, I had already finished the rough draft and different things. And then so I started building a lot of buzz about my book and a lot of people really interested in it. And then what happened? Then Atlanta happened. Then the shooting in Atlanta happened
Yes.
for women.
Yes.
And then I was actually featured on Fox News.
I saw that. I was excited for you. Yes.
Yes, standing up for the Asian women, about how Asian women, we shouldn't be objectified, and we are by the media.
Right.
And so Fox News came out, and it was a virtual event. That was pretty cool. They came out to that. And for the month of April, I think I have over 50 things like podcasts, the radio interviews, panel discussions. Like right after you, Melinda, I have a panel discussion with Mutual Ground. And
Awesome.
yeah, it's just amazing. Like just the doors are open. And I think at this point, like people are just ready to receive. And I think a unique perspective of my story, of my book, is that I'm not just a victim or a survivor. I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
Like I am a therapist. I'm an MSW. And I couldn't help myself. And it's just really amazing. And so the book, it's not just a normal book that you would just read through, okay, let me read it through and I'm done in an hour or two. No, there are about 30 to 40 reflections in there. And Melinda, I think if you can talk more about it, I don't want anybody to think I'm tooting my own horn or anything, but, but it has about 30, 40 reflections on there. So it's kind of like me talking to you, like how we're talking right now. That's how I want the book to be. Like we're having a conversation. I'm telling you, yeah, this really was impactful for me. Well, how about you? Tell me what happened with you and your life. Has this ever happened? And so I wrote it in a way where it was you and I having a dialogue. And I wanted to ask you, did you feel that way when you were reading the book?
I did. It was like you were, sitting close to me and we're just chatting over coffee or tea. It really did. It had that flow to it. It didn't feel like you read some books and it's like, okay, we're done with that section. Now do your journaling. It was not like that at all. It just had this beautiful flow. And I do love that you did ask people if they have a faith, if their faith filled, if they wanted to come to Christ. I love that prayer you put in your book. I think that's awesome. Sometimes people shy away from doing that, but there you are, being fierce and bold for the Lord. I just wanted to say I really love that too. That's probably my favorite part. It really is. That was.
Thank you so much, Melinda. Yeah, I wanted to put that, and I got a comment actually. So I asked, people to put reviews on either Amazon or Goodreads. Thank you, Melinda, for telling me about Goodreads.
You're
I
welcome.
was asking people to put reviews in, and there was this one lady. She gave me a 4-star on my book, but she gave me a really beautiful review. And I asked her, I messaged her. I was like, "Hey, I was just wondering, like, why did you give me 4 stars? Like, how could I have made my book better?" And she was like, "Well, I don't think you should have added your religion in there." And yeah, she said that. She gave me 4 stars because I added my religion. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, sister, whatever floats your boat, whatever. But honestly, Melinda, I really feel like me adding my spiritual beliefs in there made my book that much powerful. Because if you look at SESA worldwide, and this is the sexual assault organization worldwide, they believe, and I have this in the book, it's in the prologue. Read the prologue, everyone. Don't skip it. I know you want to, but it sets the whole scene for the book, right, Melinda?
It does. It
It
does.
sets the whole scene for the book. If you don't read the prologue, you're lost. You're already lost.
Right.
So please read the prologue. And so I put the 12 steps in there. And the 12 steps that they put in there are the same, or they're similar 12 steps to Alcohol Anonymous.
Mm-hmm. I saw
And
it.
so I'm like, first of all, if you're saying I shouldn't put God in my book, I shouldn't, Stacey shouldn't put God in there. So you're saying Alcohol Anonymous shouldn't put God in their 12 steps? So I wanted to say, so it's okay for Alcohol Anonymous, alcoholics, right,
Right.
recovering alcoholics to believe in a higher loving power, but we as sexual assault survivors can't. We as sexual assault victims can't. And it just blew me away. And so I just told her my piece about, well, actually, I personally think it made my book stronger because I have proof from SESA, from Alcohol Anonymous, like vetted programs. It's not like just May making this up, And she was like, well, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but, I just, people are different, or I don't know what she was trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is, if you don't believe in Jesus and you don't want to come our way, the Christian way to Jesus, go a different way. Go to a higher loving power. Yes, that's
Mhm.
a higher loving power. And I offer Christ because that's my higher loving power.
Well, not only that, you're sharing that. There's sometimes where people experience some sort of trauma, toxic trauma, emotional trauma, whatever, a challenge in life. And they think God doesn't hear me, God doesn't love me, and I'm just going to fall away from God, or you know how the church is, or people are being judging and stuff. But yet you ran to this. This was something that you embraced. This made you definitely stronger. It gave you courage and that bravery. And I think that it's even more important that you put it in there so others can see that power of God working through you. He made that connection with you, and I could almost imagine him just hugging you when you needed it, or you're being that hand on your shoulder when you were on that typewriter and you're writing and you're just probably like, I'm not going to do anymore, or something like that, or making that decision to put the P word in there.
Yeah.
He was there. He was ripping away that shame. He was ripping away that veil and just allowing you to dip in and go forward without being unashamed, unapologetic, just doing it. And that was now I'm telling you how you're healing, but I mean, that to me
No, I
seems
love
like,
it. Tell me what you're
because honestly, well, for myself, I don't leave all the, I put the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything, things. I told people I was addicted to porn. I had bisexual relations. I was a swinger, and there's more. But I had to tell that stuff, all that ugly stuff, just in order to get my story across. And reading your story, it's like this is this. She's real. She's not somebody just putting a gloss over it. She's telling it like it is, like it was, and it made it so relatable. It made it very relatable for me. It really did. I can't even give you enough thank yous for that. Really and truly,
that
you needed that.
yeah, that makes me feel so good. that makes me feel amazing and awesome and wonderful. Like, because when I set out to write this book, I wanted it to be relatable. I wanted to be able to connect to my reader on an intimate level, and the reflections on there are very thought provoking.
Oh,
It's
yes.
not like, has this ever happened to you? Yes or no? Check it out. It's not those questions, okay? It's not
Right.
close-ended. It's very open-ended. And
Yes.
then I even give you, I don't have the paperback out yet. I'm having issues with Amazon. We're not going to go into that. I don't have, I don't have the paper. I know I love Amazon. I don't have the paperback out yet. I'm having issues with my cover, but in the physical copy, the paperback book, I actually leave a whole page. So the reflection is on top, and that rest of the page
Oh,
are
nice.
lines for your reflection. So
Nice.
when the paper copy comes out, you can actually, like, I want it to be like a book that you put in your purse, that you carry around in your briefcase. And when you're feeling triggered, I want you to pull it out and be like, okay, what page was that? Okay, what triggers do I have right now? What grounding
Right.
technique should I use? So I definitely want it to be something that it's very interactive.
Oh, and I know we're going to have to log off soon, but I have a couple questions. One, if someone out there, well, if anybody would like to contact her, all of her links, I do have them on the screen, but also in the comment section. So if you want to get in touch with her that way. But one thing stands out for me too, if they have any questions, but also if somebody's out there and wants to, hey, I have a trauma story, I'd like to share it. What would you advise them to do? Any suggestions?
Yeah, if they have a trauma story and they want to share it with me or
Or
share it
just
with the world.
share with the world like you did.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So if you are interested in sharing, please email me. I do respond to all of my emails. So find me on Facebook, message me. I respond to all of my messages. And so what I did was, in order for me to get started, I worked with two different programs, and I put that in my book too. The program, the 30-day writing challenge, and Publish. And those were the two programs that I used to help me get to this place that I'm at right now, and then, the leading of the Holy Spirit. But if you're ready to tell someone, find someone that you trust. It could be a family member, a friend, a therapist, starting there if you haven't yet, because definitely my therapist for 2 years helped me significantly, just giving me the words for what it was, giving me the vocabulary. So really just having and being empowered, I think, in that way is a good start. But if you want to email me, like, I can definitely, we can discuss the next steps.
Well, let me ask you one thing too. Since you came out, are friends and family, are they shocked? Were they in awe? What were the reactions for
Um,
them?
yeah, everybody was very shocked. I mean, everybody was like, oh my God, I didn't know any of this. And I was like, right, that's the point. Compartmentalizing, disassociation, that's the point. And I think one of the things that I really I don't know, I think I really enjoy, like, being on interviews and podcasts and all of these other things, is that although this terrible thing happened to me for such a long period of time, like, I still feel like my personality is able to still shine through. Like, I'm, like, funny. I'm nice. I'm like, I want to make everybody feel good. And I really, like, appreciate that, because that's a part of my healing. Being able, this is my true self. Like, my personality is my true self. But for so long, this was the facade of healing. Like, I was always like this. But I think right now, from September to now, this, like, my true self has been able to come out to shine. Like, not because I'm trying to hide something, not because I'm scared, but, like, just truly who I am. So I just really, I guess, shout out to God. I just really appreciate
Amen, sis.
God.
Awesome. Well, if anybody else has any questions, they come on a little bit later, any comments, and watching in the replay, by all means, please, you can message her privately or just leave the comments here, and I'll tag May in that as well. But oh my God, you know what? My goodness, girl, I can stay on here a lot longer talking about this, but thank you so very much. I know you definitely opened up eyes and you are changing lives by sharing your story. So please keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Thank you.
So I wish you,
And we have to tell the viewers to go and download the book.
yes. Yes. Hello. That's the
We have to tell them to. I almost forgot too. Okay, go and download the book. It is free. Today is the last day on Amazon. The ebook is free. Please go and download it on Amazon, or if you want, it's on my website also. It'll take you directly there, www.delaocoaching.com. It's on the screen, but please go and get my book. And just so you know, really quick, I know our time is wrapping up, but my book has made #1 best-selling author on the free chart. Yes, that just happened. That happened in 24 hours. Yes, thank you everyone for your support. #1. And my book and my message has gone worldwide.
awesome.
Ireland, Africa, the UK, Spain, Australia, France, Laos. I mean, it's amazing. It's so amazing. I'm just
Awesome.
so incredibly humbled and honored to have this platform and just to speak my truth. And I just want to encourage, if I can have a last word, I just want to encourage everyone to speak your truth. Like, even if it's just to one person, like, speak the truth, because it's gonna be so liberating just to not have that in your chest anymore, have that in your mind, like to talk to at least one person about it. I think will bring tremendous healing. So I want to encourage you to talk about it to someone, and that also that healing is possible for you, regardless of how long it's been, how much time has passed, that you can still be healed, and that God wants you to live a healed and happy life.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for being a guest here. I do appreciate that. And thank everybody for tuning in. I do appreciate that as well. Get to Amazon and buy her book. Really and truly, it's amazing. It really is. And please gift it to somebody else too. If you can do that, that would be really great. And give her some reviews.
Oh,
Amazon, Goodreads, please. Authors do need these in order to keep us in the ranks. Please do that. Give Goodreads or Amazon, especially Amazon, do give a review, an
yes.
honest review. Well, thank you, May. Thank you for being a guest.
Okay, thank you.
I
Thank
hope
you
you
for having
all
me.
I hope you all have a great rest of your night. This is Melinda from Hope When There Was None signing off. Bye.